Hello everyone, welcome to Kim's Cozy Corner. I'm Kim and it's time for us to start planting our brassicas. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Kim and I like to talk about and share videos of my garden, home preserving my own foods, as well as some do-it-yourself projects. Today's video will focus on starting brassicas. So when I'm talking about brassicas, I'm talking about cabbage, I'm talking about broccoli, kohlrabi, cauliflower, even though I don't have mine yet today, but we will start it very soon. And those items take a very long time to germinate and get to size where it's able to be transplanted out into the garden. And they're cool season crops, so it's important to start those in the winter months if you're looking for a spring planting. And so we are at the end of January. And typically I plant these items around the middle to the end of January so that they're ready to go into my garden by the end of March. I'm a little later than I really want it to be. Unfortunately, I have been extremely ill and I've been trying to recover. I am going to do the best I can to get through this video without coughing all over the place as I'm trying to share with you this process, because I want to make sure that you get your plants started as well. So for the brassicas that we're going to start today, I am going to, let me just share with you what I'm going to start and then we'll talk about the process. So let's start with the cabbage. Cabbage, there are many different types of cabbage, and cabbage all has very different maturity dates depending on what you're planting. I'm going to plant Chinese cabbage. So here's the Chinese cabbage. It's Hilton. And in addition to the barrel-shaped heads that the Chinese cabbage have, I'll also be doing two other types of cabbage. And the standard head for cabbage, I'm going to do both the red acre and the golden acre, both red and golden. I'm also going to start some cabbage that has more of a cone-shaped head. So not barrel like a Napa cabbage or a Chinese cabbage, but it kind of comes to a point like a cone. And I'm going to be doing Early Jersey and this other one, which I can't pronounce. For the cabbage, I always like to tell people you want to plant it per the instructions on your seed packs. And your seed packs usually tells you how deep you need to plant them, how soon you need to start your seeds and all of that. So I'm always going to say follow the directions on your seed pack. So I like to plant my cabbage seeds 1/4 of an inch at most deep, but I'm not going to measure it as I do it, but you'll get to see it. Let me move on to the other ones first, and then we'll talk about the process. In addition to the cabbage, if I don't lose all my seeds, I'm going to go ahead and start my broccoli today. At the moment, I will be starting 3 different types of broccoli. I will be starting Gurney's Blue Ribbon, and here's a picture of it. I will also be starting Gurney's Hybrid Premium Crop, and here's a picture of it. And the reason why I like these two, one, the plant doesn't get super tall and it has tons of side shoots, and they're ready and they mature once you transplant in the garden in about 55 days or so. And the last broccoli that I'll be starting is from MIGardener. Now this particular broccoli gets massive. I started it last year and then I moved it outside in a grow bag. And when I got ready to get rid of that broccoli plant, it was almost 5 feet tall. So they get really, really large. So I'm only going to do a few of these. And we are adding more broccoli to the garden than I normally do because we're really working hard to get that year's supply. And the only other two things that I'm going to start today on this video will be kohlrabi and some bok choy. And that's all we're going to start today. And I'm going to show you my process. And once you see the process, you'll see you're going to do that for all of your seed starting with minor variations. But I want to share with you how I'm going to do that next. So let me bring you in close so you can see what my hands are going to be doing. Okay, so I have my trays set up for the brassicas that I just mentioned. So if you have room in your grow space, you don't have to put them in these teeny tiny cells. So these are very small 6-cell containers. I am going to up pot all of my seeds, and I do this intentionally. Now, if you're not starting that many seeds and you can put them in the cell that they need to be in prior to transplanting them outside, that's the easiest way, it's the simplest way, and it's fewer steps. And if you can do that, great. But I'm going to be starting hundreds of seeds, hundreds. And I only have a 5x5 grow tent or growing seedling area. And I'm growing vegetables that I'm eating now as well. So I don't have that much seed starting space in my grow tent. So I start small, and then I up pot into larger containers as I go. It's an extra step that you don't have to do if you have plenty of room to start your seeds, but I'm not that fortunate, and I am starting hundreds of seeds. I'll be growing seeds for my garden as well as for my garage sale or seed sale that I have in the spring, where I sell my seedlings that I've started, and that's how I recoup the money that I put in to start my seeds. So I'm not losing anything, and it's always a win. But I'm starting in these teeny little cells, and I have all of my labels made up for each and every one of these. If you notice, some of these I have multiple labels in each container. So in this container right here, I'm going to have 3 cells of the golden acre, and I'm going to have 3 cells of the red acre. And I'm going to put multiple seeds in each of those cells. Now, my hope is that all of the seeds germinate, which would be lovely. And if all of the seeds germinate, I will gently pull them apart and up pot them. So instead of only having 3 red acres, I could have 6 red acres or 9 red acres. It just depends on how many germinate. But we're going to put 3 per cell in each and every one of these. And then I have some containers like this one right here. This is a broccoli premium crop. And I have all 6 cells will just be that one item. And I am trying to plant so much broccoli this year, I need all of the broccoli plants that I can produce. So we will put in 3 seeds for each of these cells as well, in hopes to get, let's see, what is that, 6 times 3, 18. I'm hoping to get 18 plants out of this one little tray. Now, I've already filled each one of these containers up, and I filled them up with my seed starting mix. Cut the top off of this one, but it's Jiffy. It's a organic seed starting mix. And I take that seed starting mix, I put it into a container. I add boiling water to that container. The boiling water will kill any type of eggs that may be laying dormant in the soil. Now, my soil was damp when I started this process, and we will get these transplanted in, and then I'll have to take my gloves off, and then I will show you how we will water these. So let me turn it around where I can see what I'm doing. So bok choy, I have 3 cells here for bok choy, and I am going to put 3, ooh, I'm going to try. Ooh, y'all, they little. I'm going to try to put 3 bok choy in each one of these cells. That's my goal. Okay, 3 or 4. This is where we get kind of comical because I can't control how many seeds I have in my hand. Anyway, so we are going to stir these into about 1/4 of an inch deep, 1/4 to a 1/2 inch, honestly, if I think about how deep I'm going. And I'll say again, follow the directions on your seed pack. That is the best way to do this process. And don't worry too much if you go too deep, because seeds find a way. If they want to live, y'all. The seeds want to live. And so they will find a way to come up out of that soil or seed starting mix or whatever medium you're using. All right. So the bok choy is in, and I just tapped down the soil right on top for the bok choy. And now the bok choy, which is over here, is ready to go. And I'm going to follow the same process for all of the seeds that I'm starting today, and then I will bring you back and talk about the next step. And brassica seeds, they all look very similar. They're these teeny little round seeds, and this is kohlrabi, and it looks just like the bok choy. So labeling is critical in your seed starting journey, and a lot of the young seedlings look alike as well. So it is very, very important that you label your seeds. Otherwise, you're not going to know what it is until you get it way out in the garden and it's really flourishing. Now, I talked about boiling your seed starting mix to kill off any eggs and insects. Now, you don't want to put your boiling water in and then turn right around and try to plant seeds on top of that, boiling hot soil either. So you definitely need to let the soil cool first. And I've never mentioned that step, but I think I might want to mention it because I do have some new gardeners out there. So you let that seed starting soil cool, and then you start adding your seeds. One other thing I want to mention, even if you are putting your seeds in its one and only home prior to transplanting, you still want to put more than 1 seed per cell just in case it doesn't germinate. So you still want to add at a minimum 2 seeds per cell just in case there's poor germination. And if everything germinates and you don't want to pull them apart and transplant them up, you just snip one of those, the weaker of the 2 seedlings, off at its base, and then the stronger one will take off and continue to grow in that cell. But always put more than 1 seed per cell just to help with germination. And then that way you're not realizing something didn't germinate and now you got to wait a couple of weeks later to realize this and start over. And so a couple seeds per cell. Okay, all of the seedlings are in. They are in their little homes, waiting to get started. And my soil was already damp, but not fully hydrated. I mean, one container it's really dark brown here, where some of these are a little lighter brown because it's from seed starting mix that I mixed up a couple of weeks ago. So it's a little dry. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to water your young seeds because they're not seedlings yet. So now you got your seeds in, they're tucked in nicely, and you need to water, or you need to figure out when to water. Now, I have a whole video out there that talks about how to water your young seedlings that you can check out for a full detailed process on how to water your young seedlings. But I will give you a quick show of how to do it here. You always want to water from the bottom. And you only want to water when your soil is light brown. I really don't need to water at this point, but I want you to see the process. Now, I do have a little bit of light brown soil on a couple of these, but it's still not super light. And so I just poured some water in the bottom here, and you set your little trays in here and they will absorb that water from the bottom, and the soil will turn a really dark brown like this one here. Once your soil is to this level, I don't know, you can wait 20 minutes, 30 minutes or something like that. And then once you know you're fully hydrated, you want to pour any leftover water out of this tray. If you leave that leftover water in there, it'll keep your soil too moist. And as your young seedlings start to grow, they can get what I call soggy bottoms, and they don't want to be in that water all the time. I mean, unless you're doing hydroponics, but that's not what this is here. And so I only poured in a little bit of water because I really didn't need to water these. So, but it is absorbing it into this one right here. I can see it moving in. So I'll put a little bit more, and I only had a teeny little bit of water. Typically, if your young seedlings are all dried out, I would fill the tray up, I don't know, maybe a quarter of a way with water until that water absorbs. If it absorbs all of it, add a little bit more. Then that way you're not having to pour it off on the back end. And that's how you water it. They will absorb this water. They'll get real dark brown and they are good to go until it's time to water them again. Now let's move this over into where they will stay and develop, and I'll show you all the lighting needs for these brassicas. Now we are into my growing tent area. And here are all my little young brassicas ready to go. And the soil is still absorbing that water. So under this light, you might be able to see it a little better here. But this one is nice and dark. This one is light brown, but it's starting to absorb that soil. But we will let it continue to absorb the soil. And I am setting this up under my lighting area. Now, you technically don't need lighting until your young seedlings break ground, and that's when they need lighting. But I don't know if I'm going to be here when that happens. So all of my lights are on timers, and I have this light on. It's a shop light with a 10K, I think 10,000K shop light bulb in it. It's not a grow light. It's just a regular shop light. And they're on timers. They're going to come on in the morning. They're going to go off at night. And so I am going to lower this. There we go. So I've lowered this light till it's just above the containers. I mean, I probably could go just a little lower, honestly. If you can see here, they're just a couple of inches above the container. And I'm going to keep the lights that close until they start germinating. Once they start germinating, I will raise this light up. But I want to make sure that when they poke their little heads out, they have light and they're not stretching trying to find light. And then that way we won't have any of those really long and lanky plants. These will be very healthy, short, thick, nice plants. Now, I started all of my seeds at one time, and that means that they're all going to be ready to go in the garden about the same time, but you don't have to put them all out at the same time. I like to do staggered plantings so I can extend the overall harvest. I don't want all of my cabbage coming in at the same time. So one of the things you can do is stagger how you start your seeds, as well as staggering when you transplant them out into the garden. So this is the first round for brassicas. I probably will do one more tray. I know I said I wasn't going to order any seeds, but I did. I ordered a few more seeds, and we still got to get the cauliflower in the started as well. So we will have another round of starting seeds for brassicas, and then that will be it. So the next video that'll be coming out will either be that part 2 brassica video, or it will be herbs. We need to get our herbs started as well. Now, I will show you everything I'm doing. I will give you weekly updates so you can see how the young seedlings are doing along the way, which ones are thriving and which ones are just trying to survive. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was informative to you. And if there are other videos you're interested in, put it in the comments so I can make sure that I provide those videos for you. And if you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. These are the things that I like to do, as well as I like to learn from you as well. So please, in the comments, share with me what you're doing. Until next time, and I hope there will be a next time that you come back to Kim's Cozy Corner. Bye.